The most common question I'm asked is how could you afford to travel at such a young age? Are you a rich kid? Do you have rich parents? Is it just daddy's money? I've even been accused as a drug dealer. Let me tell you the story of how I travelled at just 18 years old. On the 26th of September 2017 was the day I left home. I was 18 years old, all by myself, and had no idea what I was doing. I flew on a one-way flight to Australia and the adventure began. I was scared, suddenly all by myself on the other side of the planet. But I fell in love with the country, spending 6 months working and living in Manly, Australia. My next challenge, straight out of my comfort zone, Southeast Asia. I had never been before. People everywhere, monkeys in the street, new smells, people and culture. Once again, I fell in love with everywhere I went, meeting the most amazing people and seeing the most beautiful places. Eventually, after 13 months, I ran out of money. I had to go home. So when I got back to the UK, the only thing I could think about was travelling again. So what I did was work as hard as I could, doing many different jobs, and I saved as much money as humanly possible. Luckily, I was in a position where I could live with my parents, and so I only paid a very small amount of rent. So I now earn money off social media and content creation, but this has not always been the case. I'm going to explain how I was able to afford to travel so young a bit later in the video. Let's move on to why I think that you should travel, especially if you're young. Here's 4 reasons why. Number 1, no responsibility. When you go traveling, you literally have no responsibility, especially if you're solo. You literally just have to make sure you've got somewhere to stay and food to eat, and then everything else you can just do what you want. You have no responsibility for anyone. So it makes you feel like you're a kid, as you have no job to do, no one to rely on. It's amazing. It's such a great feeling. Number 2 is you escape the bubble of normal life. You go to places and meet people from all over the world, and some of the places you will see just blow your mind, literally. So that's why you should go. Get out of that bubble of normal life. Number 3, which is my favourite, is nobody knows who you are. The chances of you meeting someone who you know are so slim, and so you can literally be whoever you want to be. If you used to be someone who is shy, you can now be someone who's really extroverted and confident. For example, when I was away and I was 18, I was a bit worried because I was 18, everyone's a bit older, so I literally, when people asked my age, I just said I was 22, and no one even questioned it, even though I looked about 12. Number 4 is that it forces you to get out of your comfort zone, and this means you have to face new challenges. For example, I actually lost my passport, and this was such a difficult situation, but I had no one to rely on but myself, and it just makes you grow as a person and makes you more confident. If I had it my way, I would make sure that everyone goes on a gap year and travels before they go to university, as it just opens your mind up to different aspects of life, meets loads of new people from all over the world, and it's just such a great experience to have when you're young. Let's move on to the big question, how I afforded to travel when I was only 18. So from the ages of 14 to 18 years old, I worked lots of different jobs, from being a cricket coach, doing a paper round, working in the supermarket, and all these jobs built up and I managed to save so much money. I also worked every single day after I broke up from high school, and I saved £6,500, which allowed me to go to Australia and travel with a lot of money. The one thing I was good at as a kid was saving money, as I had to save money if I wanted to travel, and I self-funded all of my trips that I've been on. The thing is, a lot of people think they need to save a lot of money or have a lot of money to go travelling. However, this is not the case. You can also travel and work abroad. For example, I went to Australia and did Australia working visa, and you could do this in New Zealand or Canada as well. And so you could actually just go to Australia or go to a foreign country with a little bit of money and then work out there and save up more money. And then you're in another country and you're earning money. A lot of jobs nowadays are online, and so you can be wherever you want to in the world. For example, You could be a freelance graphic designer or something like that and work online and do Zoom calls into companies. So it doesn't really matter. As long as you work online, you can be wherever you want to in the world. And there is such a large range of jobs that you could do. Another common thing which is done quite a lot is teaching English as a foreign language. Some people do this on FaceTime or Zoom calling, but you can also do it in person in countries, for example, like in China or Vietnam or Korea. So you could actually go to that country and give classes in English, teaching people how to speak English. So if you're fluent in English, this is such an easy way to earn money. Another very important thing is how to save money whilst you're traveling. I only had £6,500 when I was traveling, and this is not all the money in the world at all. I couldn't stay in big hotels, eat out every day, because if I did, this was just going to burst my budget. There's 3 costs when you're traveling, 3 big costs: accommodation, transport and food. And if you reduce these 3 costs, then you are going to save a lot of money. One of the easiest things to do is to travel to cheap places like Southeast Asia or South America, where it is a little bit cheaper to travel. Staying somewhere like Europe, you're going to spend a lot more money. Accommodation, I recommend staying in hostels or local guest houses, as these are a lot cheaper than staying in hotels or villas, etc. The other thing is taking local transport. If you take local transport, it's so much cheaper than taking taxis or like tour minibuses, as they are just so much more, and just save your money. Take the local transport and it's so much more fun as well. You could also do hitchhiking, which I did do in Southeast Asia too. Another big cost is food, and you have to eat the local food, and do that by eating street food, as it is so much cheaper than sitting in a Western restaurant or having like McDonald's. All that is just so much more in Southeast Asia, so just stick to the local food. It's so much better as well. Another thing you could do is volunteering, whether this is on like a local farm or helping out at a hostel. Whatever you want to do, there's websites where you can volunteer online, and they normally cover your costs for accommodation and food, so it allows you to travel for a lot longer. So guys, I hope that was useful. That is my story of how I traveled and how I afforded to travel at just 18 years old. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram. I will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later.